Hi everyone, welcome. So in this video I am just gonna show you a bit on how to create a certain type of foliage. I first got the idea after playing with Hogwarts Legacy. It's basically a type of foliage that reacts to the player's presence. As you can see, those mushrooms there, they already have some sort of idle animation. And when I get close to them, they get scared. They start shivering and going into the ground, and if I go away, they go back to their normal idle animation. This is like the leaping toadstool type of things from Hogwarts Legacy, and I thought I would make my own version of it. So basically I'm just gonna show you how I did it. It's very simple, and the cool thing about this is you have to do nothing with your character blueprint, which means they will react to every actor there is. Of course, you can limit that, but I think it's cool that they would get scared of any NPC, animal, or whatever you put into your game. Cart, even each other. Oh, by the way, I tried out a new little piece of code that lets, sun, moon, cycle sort of things. I am not gonna make a tutorial on that because there is tons of it online, and yeah, maybe if I come up with a new cool way of doing it, I would make a video about that, but I just followed the tutorial for that too. So yeah, the focus is these little fellas. These work with any type of foliage, and you can do loads of cool stuff with that, so it's not only them getting scared, you can do any other kind of behavior. It's just a very simple one, so I can demonstrate it, and it's cool. It's a small thing, but it can add a whole lot to your game. Okay, so we are gonna start in Blender because we are gonna have to make the foliage itself. You can use plants, mushrooms, whatever you want, really. Rocks even. It could be a cool idea. Like there's that cartoon, I think Disney, where there are moving rocks and they are gnomes or something. So yeah, that could be another good idea for them. But I'm just gonna stick to mushrooms because that's what I did, But it works with plants, trees, rocks. Doesn't matter the size or whatever. You can do whatever you want. It's just gonna be the method of how you do it. So I'm just gonna do mushrooms. Okay, so first things first, we are gonna open Blender and we are gonna create our foliage. Obviously, you might already have a foliage, but since for this purpose we are gonna need an armature so that it has animations and stuff, we are gonna create our own, or at least I am. If you already have foliage or whatever you have with bones, then that's fine as well, or animations. We are gonna create a mushroom, or I am at least. But you can create, other plants, rocks, whatever you want as a foliage that can interact with the player. So we are in Blender. I deleted everything from the scene, and a very important thing to start with, we are gonna go in here to the scene, which is like the droplet, bubble, and dot, whatever that is. Go to units and change it from meters to centimeters, because by default it's meters, but Unreal Engine uses centimeters. So yeah, this is gonna make our lives quite a bit easier. After we have that, I'm just gonna go to like front view and zoom in a little bit. You can just press 1 on the numpad to do that. I'm not a professional Blender artist by any means. So yeah, when I made the mushrooms for the original demonstration, like these ones, yeah, I kind of hand painted every one of these little things on top of it. And the stalk or trunk and the underside of it, that's actually from an actual image, and I just edited it a bit. So yeah, it can take some time. It's by no means the most efficient way, so I'm not even gonna bother painting what I'm gonna make this time. But yeah, mushrooms are fairly easy to make. So we have set the thingy bingy, the units. So now Shift A, we are gonna add a mesh, and I wanna go with a cylinder. Oh my god, it's pretty big, so I'm gonna actually open the side panel so I can see the dimensions. Press S and scale it down until it's like, I don't know. I'm just looking for the Y and the X there. I want it to be reasonably small like this, because, yeah, zoom in a bit with scroll wheel, G and Z to move it up so that it sits at the bottom. And now that we have like a relatively small base, this is going to be the trunk of the mushroom. I'm gonna move quick here because I don't want to waste too much time. Go into edit mode and face, select the top face, go back to this view, and I'm just gonna press E, and then E again, and then E again, just to segment this a bit. Zoom out, E, go up a little bit, press S, make it bigger, like this, and then E again, go up, S, size it. So I guess E, up, S, that, GZ, so that it moves on the Z-axis and come down. This, and then press E again, go up to this point, S, scale it down a little bit, E, go up a little bit, S, E, S, and we are done with the mushrooms. It's not a pretty mushroom by any means. So yeah, as you can see, it's not very well made, but you know, it's gonna be a mushroom. There is a ton of really good mushroom tutorials on YouTube. So yeah, this is just a quick and dirty stuff. If you want nicer mushrooms, obviously you can make them. You can spend as much time as you want. There's a lot of good texture baking stuff, painting stuff, and how you can make it. I am not good with Blender. As I said, my mushrooms took way too much time. So we are just gonna work with this. Now we are just gonna go back to object mode real quick, and what I am gonna do is press Ctrl A and, you know, set all transforms. So basically everything is zeroed out. After we are done with that, doesn't have to be selected, but we are just gonna do a Shift A, and then I'm gonna go to armature and add a single bone, which is a very big bone. And make sure the bone is selected, and then go to the side, go to armature, which is this small bone, and viewport display, and I'm at the wrong place. I actually have to go to data and then viewport display and place it in front, which basically makes it looks like it's in front, but it's actually inside it, just, you know, and with the bone selected and in front, I am gonna go to edit mode. Now the top part is already selected, so I am just gonna press G and Z so that we move on the Z axis and go down to, well, I would say about this low. And then I'm gonna press E and then Z again, so we move on the Z axis and put it like to the top, like so. And now we are done with the bones. So we go back to object mode, and then we are gonna select the cylinder and then the armature, and then press Ctrl P, and then with automatic weights, we are just gonna parent the mesh to the armature. And I think that worked. And one quick other thing I'm gonna do is in armature, I am gonna go not pose, but bone, and you can see we have the parent bone and then the small bone. I'm just gonna rename this cap and rename this the trunk, I guess. And now we are cooking. So we're gonna select our cylinder, which is a child of the armature by this point. And instead of object mode, we are gonna go into weight painting mode. And we are not gonna spend a lot of times here. This is the trunk, this is the cap. So starting with the trunk, starting with the cap, what I'm gonna do is instead of draw, we are going to add, and we are just going to paint the whole top to be red. You don't have to select any colors and stuff. Blue basically means that it's not going to move with the cap bone. Red means that if the cap bone moves, then the red parts are going to move. Perfect. We are going to go to the trunk. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to hold Control so that I paint the whole stuff blue. And since the trunk itself is already red, I think we are going to be fine. So now we are basically fine. We go back to object mode, select the armature, and let's check in the pose mode. I'm just going to select one of the bones, press R, and as you can see, it moves nicely like that. Perfect. Now what we are going to do is I'm just going to bring this one up, and then instead of pose mode, object mode, select the armature, go to the animation tab, zoom in on it. We are going to create an idle animation, and we are going to create like a scared animation. But first, actually in layout, I'm going to select everything, Control A, and all transforms, just to make sure everything is zeroed out perfectly. It's a 37 centimeter high mushroom, which is really nice. It's like a parasol or something. Okay, in the animation tab, we are on frame 1, and actually go to the action editor, and with this selected, make sure only the armature is selected and go into pose mode. So yeah, perfect. We are on frame 1, selected action editor, new. I am just gonna call this action idle. Oh, and another thing, before we forget, here it's called armature. Don't confuse it with this orange armature. Rename this to something else. Because for some reason, when it gets imported to Unreal Engine from Blender and it's called armature, it screws up. It shrinks down the whole animation. So I'm just going to call it mushroom bones, whatever. You can call it whatever something else. Doesn't matter, just don't leave it an armature because it can screw the whole thing up. So, sorry, back to here. Hold idle, I'm gonna press this little shield icon. I don't know why, but I've been told that it's a good practice to do that. And what I'm gonna do is when my mouse is here, I'm just gonna press one, so that everything is nice. Press A and then press I and location, rotation, and scale. Basically, I saved the location, rotation, and scale of every bone and armature into frame 1. And let's say I want the idle animation to be 60 frames, so I'm just gonna select those, copy them, go to frame 60, and paste them. And actually, I'm gonna set here to be a 60 frame long animation. Perfect. So for frame 10, let's say we want this mushroom to, move very little. Okay, we set the pose. I'm gonna press A again. I save the location, rotation, and scale for both the trunk and the cap. Very nice. Then go to frame 20. You can of course, make a lot more nicely done animations. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit. Select this again, rotate this way, and then this way, and this rotation I am just gonna move like so. And then after I'm done with the pose, I press A and then I set the location, rotation. Okay. And it should, by frame 60, go back straight. Perfect. Now we have a idle animation, which looks kind of like this. It's not perfect. You can play around with it. But we have this now. what we are gonna do is create another action real quick. It's fine if we just copy this, and we are gonna call this scared. And I am gonna basically delete everything here to there. I'm gonna set there, and frame 1, what are we gonna do is just, it's gonna go underground a bit, so GZ down, perfect. And I am gonna apply everything, so AI, location, rotation, scale. And then we are gonna make it like shiver, so I'm just gonna do the cap here. Okay, perfect. And we are essentially done, so we can go back to object mode right here. And go back to idle so that it looks nice. We are in object mode. Select both of them. You can just press A, and that selects everything, and we are ready to export our stuff. So let's do just that. Export FBX, and tutorial is set tutorial mushroom FBX. I pre-exported it so that I can just press export. Selected objects, so make sure you select everything. You don't have to worry about that. Bake animations is fine. In geometry, you might want to set it to edge or face. But I think everything else should be fine. Add leaf bones doesn't matter for this. So yeah, we can export the FBX. What we are going to do is go into, so go back to our Unreal Engine. I prepared the tutorial folder, so we can actually import stuff. Tutorial asset is here. Tutorial mushroom, open. We need skeletal mesh. Make sure to import animations. I think everything should be fine here, so import all. We did not get a physics asset, but that doesn't really matter. Just gonna clear and close it. We can actually start working on it, so I'm just gonna create a folder, call it blueprints. And inside this blueprint, we are gonna create an actor blueprints, an actor blueprint, not plural, and call it mushroom blueprint. Okay, inside that mushroom blueprint, we are welcomed with an empty viewport. We are gonna click this add icon, and we are gonna add a skeletal mesh to it. Very nice. And here we are gonna select our new skeletal mesh, which was mushroom tutorial, I think, or tutorial mushroom. But we have actually selected that. Perfect. Looks a little big, but doesn't really matter. So now we have that. And what we want is for the mushroom to be able to tell if anything is near it, basically. So what we need is click on skeletal mesh, then we are going to add a child to it, and this is going to be a collision box. So just type in box and box collision. Okay, I think I want the collision to be quite a bit bigger. Okay, I think that should be good. So we are sort of done with this part, except for we actually gonna create an animation blueprint and set it here. But we are gonna go into the event graph and delete everything. We are gonna need an actor begin overlap, like that, and we are gonna need an actor end overlap. like this. And what it is going to do is very simple. We are going to set a variable that can tell us if our mushroom is scared or not. So this is going to be a Boolean variable, and I'm going to call it is scared. It's a good practice to put is before Boolean because the value is true or false. So the name itself will tell you if it's a Boolean or not. And basically, if the overlap happens, then we are going to be true. If the overlap ends, we are going to be false because we are not scared anymore because the big bad evil guy has gone away. And basically that's that. And the overlap actually checks the box collision, which we have in here. So if someone enters this box, which is not going to be visible, obviously, then the mushroom is going to get scared. But we don't have any logic to actually show anything for it. So that's what comes now. I'm going to minimize this and create an animation blueprint. So animation blueprint, and tutorial mushroom skeleton, like that. And mushroom NMBP. Perfect. And open this up. We are going to create a state machine here, but we are going to first figure out the logic inside the event graph. It should be at the top, by the way. State machine, right at the top. You can rename it to, I'm just going to say it's scared states, even though it isn't really true. We can just connect it. Nothing is going to happen because we set nothing up. That's why we get the warning that nothing is set up. In the event graph, what we need to do is try get pawn owner. We don't need that. Instead of that, we are going to get the owning actor. So get owning actor, because this is an actor blueprint. And from here, I believe we are going to cast to our blueprint, the actor blueprint, which we have created. So that's going to be cast to mushroom blueprint. Perfect. And then this. And then we are going to check if this is valid, but with the executive pins or exact pins, not sure what they're called, like that. And we are actually going to get the created variable in mushroom BP, the is scared. Get is scared. Perfect. So this is the one we created here. So this. And in the animation blueprint, we are going to need this to actually play the scared animation. But first, we are going to promote it to like a variable that is local to the animation blueprint. So promote to variable, and we already have an is scared that is created here. So this and this are not the same thing. So you might want to name it a bit differently so that it doesn't get confusing, but in real world applications, the best thing to do would be to create an interface for the whole thing of values that you want to access in the animation blueprint. And so perfect, we are going to set the is scared value here to the same as it is in the mushroom blueprint. What to do if it's not valid? Actually, we are going to do the same thing, kind of, but not really. We are going to set this is scared value, but we are going to set it to false. This is sort of like a bug prevention method, so that if we cannot cast to this blueprint, then it is always going to be false. That's it. And yeah, the logic is complete. We can compile it and go back into the animation graph. And we are now actually going to set up the states, and we are going to create an idle state. And we are going to create a scared state. And this is going to be a back and forth. We can go from idle to scared and scared to idle. And the condition is going to be this variable. If we are scared, so if this is true, then idle to scared, it can enter the transition. from scared to idle, the condition should be that we are not scared anymore. So we are going to get this value. And since we are not scared, we are going to use the not boolean, which changes. So if this is true, then this is false. If this is false, then this is true. So if we are not scared, then we can enter the idle transition. And the only thing left to do in the states is to have these animations here played. So for the idle, we have the idle animation. We are just going to drag it in. And actually, if we compile, you're going to see it run off. Or, I mean, the animation start playing. And there's one thing we are going to have to do that we didn't have to do previously in Unreal Engine 4, I think, is to check in the loop. Because it's going to play once and then stop. And we do not want that, so just check loop animation. And we compile, and then it's going to play. So go back here and then plug in the scared animation as well. And in a moment, we are going to be able to see if it works or not. We just go in here. Let's see. Yep, it works. So if scared is true, then it does that. Oh, okay, perfect. The default value should be false, by the way. So compile, save. And it should work. We just drag this in to here. And yeah, it's a bit too deep, so actually go back to the viewport. And yeah, I set it up too low. So 0 is fine. I don't know why I had to touch that. And now it's good, right? Let's just delete and put it back there. Yeah, it's now good. So, where is it? It's right there in front of us. Let's see. Is it moving? Doesn't seem like it, right? Yeah, something doesn't work here. What doesn't work? I am not entirely sure. Let's go back. Sometimes this box can bug out a bit. So let's center it actually. That might be the issue. Let's try that one more time. But first, event graph. So on overlap, we get scared. Otherwise, we won't. Let's see again. Okay, am I? Oh, remember when I told you that we have to set the animation blueprint? Yeah, we forgot to do that. Yeah, that was the issue. If you were yelling at the screen, I'm sorry. So we actually have to set the animation blueprint. That's why it's not moving. The not tutorial, mushroom animation blueprint. And it's already moving. Perfect. Close it and play. So it's moving, which is nice. Let's get close. And it's scared of us. Let's get far away, and it's back to the idle. Very good. It acts the exact same way as these guys. Obviously, I had spent a little more time on these. But I would call this a success. So, I hope you enjoyed this. It's one of my favorite things I have ever made, even though it's very simple. So I'm really happy that something like this was included in the Hogwarts Legacy game, because that's where I got the idea. And this just opens up so many different avenues. One quick thing I can show you is I called it a foliage, and I was not lying, because if you create a foliage, actor foliage, let's make it a mushroom foliage, and the actor should be the mushroom blueprint. Okay, so if we go to the foliage tab here, drop foliage here, foliage tab, Come on, load up. Yeah, very nice. Density 10, I think that's fine. You can place it with the foliage painting tool, and they are gonna work the same way. As you can see in front of me, there are the bits of foliage, and they act as they should. So you can use the foliage tool to randomly put them down. And obviously you can mess with the settings here or inside here. You can mess with the scaling, so it can go from 1 to 10. Z offset doesn't matter. So that's sure. You can see there are quite a bit of variety in size. It can be actually kind of funny. See the big boys. Oh yeah, they get scared very easily. The box scales with these. So if the mushroom is bigger, the box is going to be bigger too. Okay, so I think that's it for the video. I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I did making this the first time. Yeah, thanks for watching.